It was another night of violence on the streets of Milwaukee over a fatal police shooting. 23-year-old Slyville Smith shot and killed by a black police officer after he fled the scene of a traffic stop. Police say that Smith had a gun. The mayor also spoke to people earlier today and said that he can see clearly on a picture that there's a gun in his hand. And now the father of the man who was killed on the left-hand side of your screen, he's speaking out and saying that he blames himself.
I have to blame myself for a lot of things too, because your hero is your dad, and I played a very big part in my family's role model for us. I just got out of jail probably 2 months ago, but I've been going back and forth in jail, and they see these things, so I'm like to apologize to my kids because this is the role model they look up to.
Fascinating. There's a lot there in that man's statement. Rich Edson, live in Milwaukee with the latest on this. So, Rich, what's the scene like in Milwaukee this morning?
Hey, good morning, Martha. And the scene right now is a calm residential neighborhood. Folks mostly appear to be on their way to work. The only evidence that anything like rioting has gone on is behind me in this destroyed gas station. Street sweepers cleaned the road of any evidence in the overnight hours of bricks thrown, glass broken. And that occurred last evening when police again reported one officer was injured, taken to the hospital. Another person shot, brought to the hospital on a police vehicle, as reports of gunfire, vehicles burned, more property destroyed as rioting continued last evening. Not as bad as it was on Saturday night when this gas station behind me was burning, but still continued violence here in Milwaukee. Martha?
So what about the latest in terms of the investigation? How's that going, Rich?
Well, city officials say they have reviewed the body camera of the police officer who shot that suspect. The police chief is saying, quote, that the shooting was in, quote, lawful bounds. The mayor says he saw a photograph, essentially a still shot of the moment that the officer shot, and he says it was pretty clear the suspect had a gun in his hand. Protesters want the police to release that video. Police say they're still reviewing this and they're still going through their investigation. Also, city officials are pointing out that the officer and the man he shot are of the same race.
I also know that there's been a lot of work on social media trying to identify him, so that there are a number of people here who want to do that officer harm. He happens to be African American, and he has several years of experience and is a very active officer. And we are concerned for his safety, and he has been staying with relatives out of town.
The National Guard is on standby. They have yet to be deployed here as we wait for this third day as city officials, police officials all wait to see what transpires this evening. Martha, back to you.
Rich, thank you very much. You know, you think of the scenes that we heard and the video that we saw of people ransacking cars, throwing bricks, saying that they were looking for white people to attack. And then the news this morning that both of the people in this incident were black. It needs to go beyond race and maybe more to the point that was made by the father of that young man and about the family and keeping people together.
Yeah, you've got Richard Clark, the sheriff up there, and along with the governor, they weren't messing around bringing in the National Guard in the early hours of this. So try and keep it calm there in Milwaukee.